big day, big day coming up on tomorrow. That is Election Day, and we've got to, get out and do our duty and make sure that we have everything in place for your plan. Sometimes plans can change. Please don't wait until 7:58 p.m. to say I'm going to go to the polls, and we will look for you to let us know on Monday that you got out and voted. Would love to hear how many of you took a opportunity to early vote, and love to hear about those of you all who took the opportunity to take advantage of the absentee and mail ballots, because as we understand it from Orleans Parish Registrar Lisa Marie Manning Bridges, who was here the other day, there were 14,000 of you all who made that request. And as of yesterday, uh, close to 7,000 of you have not returned your ballots. Now, that's okay if you're going to go out and vote, but be aware that you cannot request a mail ballot at this point, and you cannot just bargain, but you can take your ballot, especially since today is the deadline. I wouldn't put it in the mail, and it's due by 4:30 p.m. The 6,959 of you can show up at City Hall on Perdido with your ballot in hand. Their office hours are 8 to 4:30 p.m. So that's another 7,000 of you who have mail ballots, and you have that option. But one of the big news pieces we talked about yesterday is Derek Groves' recapture in Atlanta. And so that's been big news. Actually, it's been international news.
Right.
That the last of the 10 jail escapees has been captured in Atlanta. And of course, y'all know what I think about that. I think if you're going to escape and be gone for 5 months, maybe you might want to be someplace other than Atlanta in a very nice, politically powerful neighborhood.
Right.
But that's where he was for whatever reasons. And we have a very special guest to join us today. And that guest is Gabby Killett. Gabby is a reporter with Fox 8. And Gabby had the opportunity to go to Atlanta, to go to the street, to go to the house, and to go inside the house where Derek Groves has been hiding out. So we've got Gabby on the line for you this morning. Good morning, Gabby. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I'm a little tired, but I'm here.
Well, oh, great, great, great. Well, I'm here with Chief Eddie Compass, and we are thrilled to have you make a few minutes for us to talk about your reporting this week on the
Thank
Derek
you.
Groves
Thank you.
case, but particularly the opportunity to actually see the house. So tell us a little bit about how it came to be that you and your team decided to go to Atlanta, and what you were hoping for versus what you actually had the opportunity to experience.
Sure. So we were debating for a little while about going to Atlanta. Fox 8 is a great television station, and we have partners here. There also there's a Fox affiliate, so we kind of had that conversation of, well, could our partners kind of handle this, or is this something that we want to approach ourselves? And ultimately, we decided to send a crew, which was myself and our chief photographer, Steve Wolfram. And we went out here, and really, I believe, predicated on the fact that we have followed this so closely for so long. And I do believe in this particular case that there are a few people that would cover this the way that in New Orleans media shop would cover this because we've just followed it for so long. We know the history. We know who Derek Groves is. We understand the significance of this event politically. And so coming out here just came to be the natural choice after a while, just to really put, I don't want to say a period, but maybe a semicolon on this experience, after these inmates escaped the Orleans Parish Jail in May.
Okay. So when did you all arrive, and what was the game plan going into going over there, and did that change?
Sure. So the biggest thing that we were kind of debating at first was, okay, well, if we head out to Atlanta, are we going to be able to see him? Is he going to be in court? Kind of what is that going to look like? And we got word that he would be having an appearance. He would be in court, and that was a huge factor in our decision to come out here, because we did end up seeing him. And we left at about 6 Wednesday evening. Of course, we lose an hour, so it was 7 Atlanta time. We got in around 2 Atlanta time, and we were up by 7, making calls to the station, trying to figure out the exact time of this hearing. There was kind of some back and forth about whether it would be at Fulton County Superior Court, at the Fulton County Jail. Things work a little differently here than they do at home, as they do in many jurisdictions. So it was a matter of learning a criminal legal system overnight.
Right.
So that was challenging. But we finally understood that, okay, we got the confirmation that he would show in person at the Fulton County Jail, in a jailhouse court almost that they hold for first appearances. And so it was there that I was allowed inside, and that moment really is something I'll never forget in my career. You hear about this person, and it's almost this, I think you wrote in your column, well, like this folklore, or this legend of, and then you walk in the room and you just see Mr. Groves seated there, and it's like this wow moment of this person that I've been reporting on, and this case that I've been reporting on for so long now has come to this head, and there is the man just seated there. And that was a powerful moment for me that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Right. Okay, Chief has a question.
Gabby, this is Chief Campos.
Sure.
How you doing? Just
Good morning. Good morning, Chief.
Well, I've been in law enforcement 46 years, and usually that type of crime scene is closed off to the public and to the media until it's processed. And I know you guys got there almost immediately, so I'm just curious, how did you get a chance to film that scene? I didn't see any crime scene tape or anything like that. Were the technicians in there analyzing the data, analyzing the evidence? Break that down to me.
Thank you. Yes. And Chief, look, when I was in the house, I had a hard time breathing for a while after leaving, because the sting of tear gas was still there. There were containers. There was a bullet on a tray in that house. So, yes, plain as day, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Drug paraphernalia everywhere. I actually had a producer ask me, just, we wanted to be careful and make sure that we weren't kind of inflating this. And he was like, are you sure that it was drug paraphernalia? And I kind of had this moment of, yes, I was sure, just all of the things that we were seeing. But the journey to the house really began with, we understood from our sister station, that's Atlanta News First, that's a gray television station in Atlanta, that the owner of the house had headed out there Wednesday night to try to understand what happened to his house. And, unfortunately for this gentleman, all of the entrances are blown. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. If you saw the video, it really is trashed, ransacked, however you want to call it. So the mission of the day, after we talked to a neighbor and we had gone to court, was, how can I find this man again, and how can I get him to let me inside? I just thought that getting eyes on the scene and understanding this scene could really give us an in as an audience and, as journalists to what what might these months have looked like for Derek Groves in hiding, depending on how long he might have been at this location. And that we don't know yet. But all that being said, I looked at public records for this man, the gentleman, the owner, who we ended up speaking with, of course, Mr. Richard McQueen. I called every number that I found available for him. I called numbers associated with his family members. And then we were like, okay, we're kind of on deadline. How are we going to approach this? And I asked my photographer, look, let's just do one more thing. He has this listed address. Let's just pass by. So we went to his home of residence, and I knocked on the door, and a man answered, and I said, hi, my name is Gabby Killett. I work for Fox 8 from New Orleans. I'm looking for Mr. McQueen. And he said, I'm Mr. McQueen.
Wow.
Well, you know that I used to tell my detectives that hard work and footwork and basic police work is not superannuated or obsolete. That is a outstanding job, young lady. I'm telling you, your bosses should be very, very pleased with you because you got a perspective that nobody else got, and you got that through hard work. So that's a good job.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. And you know what? It paid off because getting a look inside of there, I think, will just really allow us to tell this story in a way where we have the visual. They can talk about court records and describe the scene, I'm sure, as this thing goes on, and there are arrest warrants being written up potentially for people who were helping Derek Groves. I'm sure when, as the investigation progresses, we have these kind of facts on paper. And I think what happened yesterday was that we got to see what that looked like with our own two eyes.
One picture's worth 1,000 words.
So, Gabby,
Right.
we're going to have to go to break shortly. I know you all have to get on the road and want you all to be safe out there on your way back home. But briefly describe what that scene looked like and any context, any idea how long Derek Groves might have been there. Was it a few days, few weeks, a month? Or, I'm guessing it's not the entire 5 months, but who knows?
Right. So we did speak with a neighbor in the area, and also with the owner, of course, Mr. McQueen, and so based on their comments, it sounded like about a couple of months. A woman we spoke with told us, a neighbor, that she had started noticing like some suspicious activity, which she described as a lot of traffic in and out of the house. Someone peering through the blinds, almost she felt like she was being watched in a way. She said that started about a couple of months ago, and that was the same understanding of when this tenant had, I'm not sure the particulars, whether she maybe had signed a new lease or whether she'd moved there, but that's kind of the general time frame that we're hearing. Of course, that's very preliminary and not based on police investigation, but just kind of what we're hearing from the folks there. And like you said, to describe what was at the actual scene, I mean, it was chaos. It was truly chaos. Yesterday in my script, I listed some of the things we saw there. Drug paraphernalia, as I said, a bullet, as I said. There were children's shoes. There were wigs, a bag full, a lot of clothing scattered throughout the house, buckets and tinctures. And those buckets and tinctures were labeled with the names of different flavors. I remember looking at one that said orange creamsicle or something like that.
Wow.
So there it was a scene that, really simply put, I won't ever forget.
Wow.
Right. Were all of the rooms occupied, or was it just like 2 or 3 rooms, maybe some activity in the kitchen or something like that?
So what I would say is that everything that we saw was scattered throughout the house. There wasn't like a concentration of these items. It was just all of it was everywhere. And there's broken glass on the house. You know, something that was interesting, I briefly mentioned yesterday, was when you walked in, there was a monitor that still had 2 camera angles available, and the rest of the cameras had been knocked out by SWAT. The owner, Richard McQueen, told us yesterday. So really, it almost seemed like whoever was inside the house had surveillance on the house. You know, in thorough surveillance on the house.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know you all are packed up and ready to go. That's some extra special insight on this Derek Grove story. Of course, he had his extradition hearing yesterday, and either was on the way yesterday or soon to Angola, where the other escapees have been housed since. Thank you so much, Gabby Killett from Fox 8. Wonderful to have you share your reporting with our WBOK listening audience. Have a safe trip and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And look, one little thing I want to add. We heard from Derek in the courtroom, a soundbite that's been repeated. He said yesterday, I want to return home where I'm from.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
You.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great day.
Safe travels. All right. Well, there you have it. Gabby Killett from Fox 8 giving us the truly inside scoop on Derek Groves. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422. You've been hearing us talk about the campaign and politics over the last few weeks, and particularly in recent days. And we've been talking about registration and voting, and we've been talking about polls as well. Well, one of the last major public polls was done by University of New Orleans professor Ed Gervenak. Well, we got him coming up right here on WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Collab Capital is an early-stage venture capital fund designed to help close the funding gap for black entrepreneurs. And it recently closed its latest funding round with $75 million in committed capital. Jules Burke-Solomon is co-founder and managing partner of Collab Capital, and she says a big part of the VC firm's early success comes down to the work she's put into meeting people.
We spend a lot of time on the road, meeting with limited partners, getting them excited about our vision for shared prosperity, and really telling a different story about how we're finding incredible entrepreneurs who are building a different type of future. And so I think that's what got our limited partners excited.
Beyond funding, Collab Capital also offers operational support and tries to help founders build a network of partnerships. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Cindy Wynn isn't just a leader. She's our neighbor, a mom, a hard worker, and someone who cares about every family in our community. On Election Day, vote number 55, Cindy Wynn District E.
I'm Cindy Wynn, and I approve this message.
Errol Williams grew up in the St. Bernard housing development. Determined to succeed, he set out on a path that strove for excellence and achieved a historic record of firsts. But nothing was more important than buying a home for his mother and eventually his own family.
To me, home is more than just a building. As your assessor, I promise to be honest, accountable, accessible, and fair. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your assessor.
Let's re-elect Errol Williams, assessor.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
Vote for Kenneth Cutno. On Saturday, October 11th, a vote for Kenneth Cutno is a vote for lower energy bills, lower sewage and water board rates, affordable housing, decreased crime, and a higher citizen wage. Vote Kenneth Cutno, number 31. For City Council at Large, Division 2, vote Kenneth Cutno.
This measure has been approved by Kenneth Cutno.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show. It's 7:28. If you got somewhere to be at 7:30, hope it's the other side of your bed. But if you got somewhere to be for 7:45, maybe 8 o'clock, 7:50, hopefully you, if you're driving, you will take your time and watch out for the babies. Watch out for the babies. How do we want them to drive, Chief?
Very slowly.
Very slowly. I know 20 miles per hour seems so slow, but you can actually injure somebody at 20 miles per hour. So,
yeah.
But you want to be careful out there of the babies in particular, but some of everyone and yourself, and watch out for the other drivers. You have to drive safely, and you have to make up for the people who aren't driving so safely. Well, we told you we'd have a special treat for you, and we do. Dr. Ed Chervenak is in the studio at WBOK, and over the weeks, months to some degree, but certainly the last number of weeks in the summer and going closer to the election on October 11th, there've been a number of different polls. The most recent public poll that everybody has been talking about is Dr. Chernak's poll from University of New Orleans. They have been in existence. The polling operation and the research center really has been around since 1986. So this work has been going on. I just provide you that context because there are polls sometimes, and you're unsure who these people are. And no offense to anybody, but sometimes it's a professor with a couple of graduate students, and it's their first time polling on this particular thing. Maybe they've been polling other things. But at UNO, you all have been polling for decades, and you've been polling these kinds of things and other things. First of all, good morning, Dr. Ed. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
So, anyway, to kind of address your question there, we have been doing our signature series is the Quality of Life Survey. We do that every other year. And then when elections come up, local elections, state elections, we do polls for those as well. So we take the knowledge that we developed over the decades, right, and we apply it. And we've modernized. We use the newest and latest technology to collect the data. And we use scientific principles when we analyze our data, when we select our sample and when we analyze our data. So you can see we produced all the results. we gave out the questions, we gave out the demographics of the sample. So we like to be as transparent as possible.
Right. So tell us, as we get more into the poll results, tell us the timing of your poll, the significance of that timing, and how people should consider that on the day before election.
Right.
Because in most cases, polls like this, and correct me in anything I say that might be wrong, it's a snapshot in time,
Yes.
but a scientific snapshot with a group of people that have been identified one way or another. And I don't think anybody's ever done a poll of let's try to do the entire city, because that would be far too expensive. But it's a representative sampling.
Yes,
fair?
That's fair. That's an accurate statement. It is a representative sample. The sample would look like the overall population. Now, we didn't talk to just registered voters. We talked to likely voters. So we
That's
talked.
different.
We talked to people who had voted at least four times in the last 10 elections, where turnout was above 10%. And then we also included those people who had voted 3 times in the last 10 elections if they had voted in the 2021 mayoral primary. So our sample is a little bit.
These are not if you're a registered voter and you haven't been voting.
Right.
It's
These
registered
people
voters and you've been active recently.
Yes.
And not just likely, but you have
four times in the last 10 elections.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that's quite a demographic.
Yeah, so we're looking at likely voters, so we know that these people are somewhat reliable and relatively engaged.
Well, here at WBOK, our Black Talk radio station, we hear this all the time. Nobody polls me. Nobody polls me, so I'm not sure I believe this. And who are these black people that they're polling? Because they're not me. They're not
me.
my church member. They're not my neighbor. So
they are your fellow citizens.
They are.
Yes, they are.
You're actually polling black people.
Yes, we are. In fact, so many people hang up on us that when I hear people say, "Oh, they didn't talk to me," but at the same time, lots of people are hanging up on us, and that may be the same people who are complaining about not being asked, doing the hanging up. So, if we call, please respond. Some people can be belligerent. We don't like that, but we're just trying to gauge people's opinions, and we want to talk to a representative sample of, the city.
Okay.
Can your poll predict the actual turnout? Within plus or minus 3%, like most polls.
Well, we're not trying to predict turnout. We're assuming 35% turnout. So that's why we went to 4 or more. So 35% of registered voters have voted 4 or more times in the last 10 elections. So that's why we selected that number. So we're not trying to predict turnout, but we're assuming turnout's going to be 35%.
And when you do a poll about the mayoral elections, do you use all candidates in the poll, or just the top 3 or 4?
We asked about the top 3, and then we asked if there was someone else that we didn't mention that they would want to vote for, and then they would tell us that name.
So they had the opportunity
to
put another name.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And refresh our listeners' memory about when this poll was conducted in
September 20th through the 24th.
Fairly recently.
Yes. And we selected that time frame for the main reason is we didn't want to go into early voting. So we wanted to finish the poll before early voting started, because we don't want to, because some people will say, well, I already voted, and then not tell us who they voted for, because some people are very touchy about that. And there's also, there are some administrative issues in terms of getting access to a computer lab over a period of time, because when we go into a lab, we take it over, right? We hook up the phones and we shut that lab down, and no one else can get access to it. And so we've got to find a time frame when we can do that, when other professors and other classes will, abide and say, okay, yeah, I'll do something else for that particular week.
So obviously the Center's been around since '86. How long have you been a part of this?
I've been a part of this, I think, now since 2012.
Okay, so a good little stretch.
Yeah, it's been a challenge, particularly with the downsizing. Like they closed one of the buildings, Millenberg Hall, and that was where our call center was. We used that computer lab, so we had to scramble and find another computer lab to be able to use. So, but the administration is behind us. The chair, the dean, they were very supportive of this project. We scheduled the students, we trained the students, they all showed up. This is usually the biggest issue is getting people to show up, for their interviewing sessions, but we didn't really have any issues with this poll pretty much went off without a hitch.
All right, very good. So let's get into some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I say anything wrong, just correct me. But I think the top line is that your polling found that Helena Moreno has 49% of the support among those that you polled.
Right.
And Senator Royce Duplessis came in at 15% support. And Council District E member Oliver Thomas had 13% among those that you had polled. Now, let's jump to the margin of error.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 4.8 margin of error.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus a 4.8. So that could mean Moreno could be higher than 49%, but also could be lower than 49%.
That's correct.
And therefore, it would be inaccurate to say that Duplessis is in second place with a 15% and a 13%.
Right. Statistically, they're tied.
Okay. Right. Statistically, Duplessis and Thomas are tied.
Yes.
As of this one poll at the time, of course, the only poll that counts is the actual
Election
votes.
day, right.
Okay. So how should we look at these poll numbers, just those poll numbers, with that margin of error?
Well, every poll is going to have a margin of error. People assume that polls and surveys are these highly accurate measures, and they're not. We can't talk to everybody. And so we hedge our bets a bit, and, we know with 95% confidence that our results are within that margin of error. So that's just the nature of the beast. I can't explain it away and say, he's at 15%, he's at 13%. No.
Mm-hmm.
There could be some variation in there.
Well, when you look at Mr. Januso, he was polling 5%, which is significant in a city this large. Was his 5% put in the undecided, or was it put towards him? They were basically lumped together as someone else. In the undecided, so basically, so it's...
No, it wasn't undecided.
Not undecided, or someone else, I mean.
Right.
Not undecided, but someone else, but it wasn't attributed to Mr. Januso.
No, we didn't lump them with undecided.
No, I'm sorry, I apologize. I meant to say it was with someone else.
Right.
Like there were 8 other, or there's 6 other or 7 other candidates, so it would lump up in that group.
Right.
Okay. So there was no specific category in this particular poll for Frank Januso,
no.
the Republican in the race.
Okay.
No. If someone wanted to say they supported him, they mentioned his name, and then we just included all of them under someone else.
Right.
Okay. Any idea how many other names other than the top 3 were mentioned?
No, I didn't. When I debriefed the interviewers, they didn't really tell me, who right. They did mention. They just mentioned someone else.
Yeah. Okay. So with this poll, you also looked at some of the other races, including sheriff. And in that poll, at that time in September, right before early voting, you showed 44% support for former police chief Michelle Woodfolk and 13% for the incumbent sheriff, Susan Hudson, and 9% for Constable Ed Shorty. So again, with that margin of error, Woodford could be close to 50%.
Yes.
As of that poll, or she could be lower, in which case there could possibly be a runoff based on this one poll.
Right.
Correct?
And it's not just based on this one poll.
Okay.
The results from this poll are consistent with what we've seen in other polls.
Okay.
So that's something that we need to think about as well. You're right. This is just a snapshot in time. But when we look at a series of polls and they're showing the same results, we can be fairly certain that we're getting accurate results. In fact, I got a call from someone on the Council at Large Division 1, and they told me their numbers were almost the same as our numbers were.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So somebody's internal poll.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're fairly confident that our numbers are, within that margin of error, where I guess they should be, or where they actually are.
Right. And speaking of at large, so City Council at Large Division 1, which is the open seat that Helena Moreno is leaving to run for mayor. State Representative Matthew Willett got 32% support. State Rep Delisha Boyd got 18% support, and Matthew Hill, the third candidate, got 5%. So again, with that 4.86 margin of error, it doesn't appear that anybody, as of that time, was close to 50%.
No one in that particular race is notable for its large undecided.
Right.
It's one of the things we were wondering about was that a lot of people say this is a very important election and I got to get involved and we got to make sure we make the right decision, and then we call all these people and they're either unsure, uncommitted, or unwilling to tell us who they support.
Well, that's you mentioned a large portion of undecided, 50%.
Yes,
I mean that is a big number.
Yes,
and this is not 50% undecided in February or May or even July, but in late September, 50% undecided.
And I asked when I debriefed the interviewers, were people just unwilling to tell you, who they supported? And they said no, that they just were not aware of the names of these individuals.
Oh, they weren't aware of the names.
Right.
Well, you look at it from that perspective, just putting numbers in my head. If you got 50% undecided, just say they split the 50% that's undecided, it'll be 25% apiece. So if he has the 36% and 25%, that will put him over, so he could win.
Oh yeah,
in the first primary.
A lot of that race will be decided by how the undecideds break.
That's
right.
And so no, he has a double-digit lead, and so there is a statistical difference between his support and her support.
And that's what, because it's a mathematical anomaly to a certain extent that's that much undecided. But the viewers might have thought that it would be like a runoff, and I'm just adding the numbers up in my head. And then from a mathematical standpoint, it's a strong possibility that he will get 50%.
Oh yeah, he can definitely get 50%, and then of course she's having some issues with some alleged corruption in terms of where some of her campaign finance money has been going.
Yeah, which developed after the poll and the announcement of the poll results. So that's a factor that not representative in this particular poll. Did you poll in the other city council at large?
Yes.
And what would you?
And we had J.P. Morrell at about 45%. And of course,
with the margin of error positive, that would be 50%.
Yeah, but I mean, the other candidates were in single digits, and so I'm just going to assume that he's going to cruise to victory on tomorrow, so he'll win by a large margin.
Okay, all right. And did you do any polling for the assessors race?
No.
Okay, and clerk?
No.
Okay, all right. And of the people that you polled, now based on and I did read through the poll a few times, but the sample included 221 Black respondents, 162 white respondents, 5 Asian, 6 Hispanic, and 15 who identified as another type of race, or maybe biracial or something like that. So how are we to look at these polls with this heavy black audience and think that we should trust this?
Well, the sample is 54% black because 54% of these likely voters were black, and so this is what makes our sample, representative of the larger population. And what the polls tends to show is that blacks are relatively fragmented in terms of their support for the mayor. We're seeing Moreno getting 28%, and I think it's either, I can't remember, it's Duplessis or Thomas who's getting 24%, and the other one getting 21%.
Right. But again, it's within that margin of error.
Yeah, so they're basically tied.
Right, all three.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what percentage of the white vote did she?
She's getting 76% of the white vote.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So that's a big base on which to build, because even with the margin of error negative, it's still 70%.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what are our takeaways from this point in time on the day before election, and then we'll wrap up this segment, go to break, and what are your final words and thoughts?
Okay. Well, of course, we also looked at people's rating of the mayor's job approval.
Yes.
And we also asked whether they thought the city was moving in the right direction or was headed in the wrong direction. And what we found is that the mayor is highly unpopular. She only has a 20% job approval rating, 51% strongly disapprove. Those are not numbers you want to go out with. No. Also, that 51% of these likely voters thought the city was moving in the wrong direction. And so what we did, it was a crosstab of mayoral job approval with vote support for the mayoral candidates, and also a crosstab of direction of the city with support. And what we found is that Moreno was viewed as the change candidate, that her support went up among those who disapproved of the mayor, and also her numbers went up among those who thought the city was on the wrong track.
Right.
So she's viewed as she's perceived as the change candidate. They're all running as change candidates, but in terms of what voters' perceptions are, they're viewing her as the change candidate.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
And then there's one more thing, in that we categorized likely voters and and chronic voters.
Yes. Yeah.
And what we found is 54% of chronic voters, those who vote 7 or more times in the elections, support Moreno. So a majority of those who are the most reliable.
What was that percentage again?
54%.
Wow.
So 54% of chronic voters say that they support Moreno. So
7 out of 10.
They voted 7 or more in the last 10 elections.
Those are people, if there's one item on the ballot, they're out there.
Even if there's nothing on the ballot, those people are showing up to vote.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That would be me.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ed. Thank you for joining us today on WBOK on the Good Morning Show. Good to have this insight about the University of New Orleans Survey Research Center poll. I guess there's no other poll that will be coming out today, and so the poll that will count will be tomorrow night when the results come in. Thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
The pleasant feeling air is here. Things are going to feel very nice for us today, a nice little breeze as well. We are looking at highs to be into the low to mid 80s throughout the day. Mostly sunny skies are expected. And then lows for tonight only dropping into the 60s for most of us, but that comfortable feeling air and dry conditions last through the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
J.P. Morrell, he's not for me. I work hard every day, and while I'm struggling to pay my bills and put food on the table, JP didn't even show up to hold a utility committee meeting for 6 months. Now my gas bill got a $12 surcharge I never asked for. Makes sense. JP was cozying up to Delta Gas and Entergy instead. JP, quit playing in our faces. It's time for real leadership. Pastor Gregory Manning. He respects us, will fight for us, and he will never sell us out. Paid for by Friends for Gregory Manning.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for Sheriff.
3 years ago, Michelle Woodfolk was selected to be interim police chief. It was a historical selection. She did the job with poise and purpose, making all of us proud. She brought down crime, increased recruitment, which made our communities safe. From New Orleans East to St. Mary to Chief of Police, Michelle has represented our community well. Now, it's sad that Ed Shorty is spending tens of thousands of dollars lying on Michelle about stuff decades ago. We know when we have nothing good to say about yourself, you try to tear down other people. Mr. Shorty, that won't work here. We know Michelle Woodfork. We don't know you. What we have seen of you so far is despicable. I'm proud to be voting for the only law enforcement professional in this race, Michelle Woodfolk. Shame on you, Ed Shorty. You know better.
New Orleans is facing a $100 million budget deficit. But where was Helena Moreno, the candidate who promises to be a 24/7 mayor? She missed 60% of the city council's budget committee meetings. That's not leadership, that's negligence. Now our city is broke and the people are paying the price. Helena Moreno talks about being everywhere, but when it mattered most, she was nowhere to be found. New Orleans deserves a leader who shows up. Helena Moreno, 24/7 Talk, 60% no-show.
Paid for by People for Better New Orleans.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Orleans is facing a $100 million budget deficit. But where was Helena Moreno, the candidate who promises to be a 24/7 mayor? She missed 60% of the city council's budget committee meetings. That's not leadership, that's negligence. Now our city is broke and the people are paying the price. Helena Moreno talks about being everywhere, but when it mattered most, she was nowhere to be found. New Orleans deserves a leader who shows up. Helena Moreno, 24/7 Talk, 60% no-show.
Paid for by People for Better New Orleans.
After 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Calvin Duncan established his innocence in a court of law. But Darren Lombard doesn't care about justice. He teamed up with Jeff Landry's attorney general to attack Calvin. They even sued him to stop him from talking about his innocence. According to Landry and Lombard, even if you're judged innocent, you're still guilty. Let's send Landry and Lombard a message. Vote number 7, Calvin Duncan.
Paid for by Calvin for clerk.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. It is 7:56 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8. I hope you're already on your way, and perhaps you're in the parking spot to get to your 8 a.m. medical appointment or your 8 a.m. Time punch clock at the job, because 4 minutes is not a long time. If you got until 8:10, 8:15, you got a little bit more flexibility. It's 7:56 a.m. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. Man, what a conversation with Dr. Ed, huh?
I mean, that was very informative.
Yeah, some more insight about that UNO poll, and we're always concerned about where the black people were in the poll. But it sounds like he had some good answers for that, with the weight of the type of voter, likely and chronic voter, and the number of black folks polled was larger than white folks and others, based on the city, not just the city population, but the registered voters, and in that particular demographic of likely and chronic voters.
The thing that was disheartening to me is that only 35% of people traditionally come out to vote.
Right. Right. I mean, if we get that number tomorrow, we feel good about that number. But that's just not enough people weighing in on the future of our city.
And then you look at it from the perspective that the sacrifice that people made, especially African Americans in the civil rights days, to give us the right to vote. And people are so cavalier, lackadaisical, vapid about voting. It hurts me personally, because I take it so seriously, because the only way you can make real change is to go and pull that lever, or pull that tab, or punch that button. And like I said, I guess I was brought up in that environment as a young child. I always talk about Louis Charbonnet and Don Hubbard and Jerome Smith. I mean, I watched these great men, these great political pundits and political soldiers explain to us what was sacrificed for us to have the right to vote as African Americans. And then when we don't go out and vote, it's disrespectful, and it's like it hurts, and then you sit on the sideline and you curse the darkness, but you have a chance to shed a light a candle, and actually make a difference. So I hope we do a lot better than 35%.
Well, we hope so. We hope so. Let's just touch base on a couple other little pieces of news. Unfortunately, last night in the French Quarter, over at the Bienville and Burgundy, there was a carjacking, and a 61-year-old man died after struggling with the carjacker in the French Quarter. He ended up being pinned by the carjackers, the vehicle that he was in, and during the struggle, the man's car rolled over and he was pinned underneath the vehicle, and the suspect fled. So police don't have the suspect, but meanwhile, a 61-year-old man is dead for a carjacking.
When you look at crime, this is one of the most heinous. You're taking a man's life for stealing his property, but attempting to steal his property. That's why I have no sympathy for people that get caught and get the maximum sentence or things like that, because it's waste. It's a waste of a human life. And it's sad that their moral compass is so skewed that they would kill someone to take their property. I mean, it's unfortunate. That's why we have to have some type of alternatives to crime. And dealing with it in the early stages. Changing the mindset, changing the paradigm. We have to have a didactic paradigm shift as relates to our young people and their moral their moral constitutions. That crime is wrong, crime is bad. We have to give them other alternatives so they don't go to that life of crime.
Right. Well, we're going to have to go to break, Chief, and when we come back, we're going to have a extra special treat for our WBOK listeners, because we're going to have the one, the only, the mouth of the South, the mouth of Black America, Gary Chambers. social activist, civil rights activist, former U.S. Senate candidate, will be joining us right here at WBOK to provide his insights on what he has seen in the recent days and weeks and the anticipation of what's likely to happen on tomorrow, Election Day. So stay tuned to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK AM. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former Republican Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger opposes California's Prop 50, warning voters to not let politicians redraw congressional maps.
So now they want more power to create more chaos and more negativity in California. So I just said, no, let's stop it right here.
He says Democrats want to pause the Independent Redistricting Commission to gain an edge, calling it two wrongs don't make a right. President Trump is calling for the arrest of Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, accusing them of failing to protect ICE agents. Johnson says he's not going anywhere, while Pritzker fired back, calling Trump a wannabe dictator. And Ghana's President John Mahama urged the UN to back reparations for slavery, calling it the greatest crime against humanity, and pushing for global recognition, restitution, and justice for African descendants. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass, and we've been talking about quite a number of things, but particularly, of course, the big news, campaigns and politics with Election Day is tomorrow. WBOK 1230 AM. Talk line is 504-582-9422. Well, right now, let's bring on a man who lives and breathes politics and issues because his politics are based on what's best for Black people. And so you can agree or disagree, but he's going to come at you with some facts. And so, welcome to the Good Morning Show, Gary Chambers.
What's up, Gary? Good morning, brothers. How are you?
Fabulous.
Thank you for having me.
I'm right here with Chief Eddie Compass.
Good morning, Brother Eddie. How are you?
I'm great, Gary. How you doing, my
Wonderful,
brother?
wonderful. So, I've been watching your social media posts and touching base with you in recent weeks. Thought it would be a great idea to have you on the Good Morning Show today on the last day before the election day here in New Orleans. Certainly there are some other places with elections across the state, but I don't think there's any with as a significant an election as there will be tomorrow in New Orleans. So since you've been following this for quite some time, and you always bring it with some context and some numbers and some things to think about. What is now that we have closed out early voting, and it's up to the rest of the people to decide if they're going to vote and to decide who they're going to vote for if they're going to vote tomorrow. What's your overview of what we're looking at for tomorrow in New Orleans?
Well, I'm going to take you back to 2017, which was the last competitive mayor's race in New Orleans. And in early voting in 2017, 6.65% of people showed up to vote, which was 16,522 people. 10,000 of those people were black voters. 4,000 of those people were white voters. 698 of them were of other ethnicities. In 2025, you had 38,611 black voters, total voters show up. 22,000 of them were black, 14,000 of them were white, and 2,232 of them were of other ethnicities. That means that in the black community, that was a 103% increase. In the white community, that was a 188% increase. And in other ethnicities, that's 220% increase from when LaToya Cantrell was first elected to today. Now, I think that there's a number of factors that goes into that. I think that there's a ton of folks who are more civically attentive right now because we've got a president that is a menace every day that makes people pay attention to what's going on in government. But I also think that New Orleans has had a tremendous amount of local tension that has made the community pay attention. I think that there are issues that the community has wanted to be addressed, whether that's not getting their trash picked up twice a week or the crime that it peaks in certain communities, the randomization of certain crime that exists in people's lives and wanting to feel safe, as well as the quality of life for people in New Orleans East, the Lower Nine, Algiers, that often feel like they're not a part of the conversation, and the city council's tension with the mayor, I think has a whole lot of people paying attention to the mayoral election in a way that maybe people hadn't paid attention before. And I think that people want to ensure that people know that they are watching and that they do care about what happens in this election. One thing is certain. I believe that people are going to show up tomorrow. I'm encouraged by those numbers. 15% of the black community and 15% of the white community showing up. Early voting is nothing to sneeze at. We should be proud of that. We should be texting people, though. We should not be comfortable in that. We should be texting people and calling people and reminding people that the election is tomorrow. And we should not care if we're annoying people, if people feel a certain way about that, because the government never stops taking your money and they never stop operating to spend that money. And so as long as they're taking your money and spending your money, you ought to be a part of that conversation.
Right. So, I mean, that's a significant increase of people voting early overall, and a nice big chunk for the percentage of black people voting and participating in early voting. So that comparison in 2017, I think, is an excellent one. And yay for all the folks who got out there and voted early. Of course, with 14,000 absentee mail ballots requested, those people have the option of going to the polls or getting that ballot in. But if they're going to get it in, they have to get it in by 4:30 p.m. today, which means hand delivery to make that happen. But the turnout tomorrow, based on what you've seen in past elections and what you've seen with the early voting, you said you expect a good turnout on tomorrow. What would be a good turnout, do you think, for this particular election?
I think if over 50% of voters in Orleans Parish vote tomorrow, that it would have been an exceptional turnout for this election. Now, of course, my goal is always to get the black community to vote as high as possible because there are record times where you've seen where black folks have sent every black voter in the community to vote. And so that is my ultimate dream in the community. But if we can get over 50% of the community to show up tomorrow, then you will know that the majority of the people have had a say in this. It is my hope that this election will not be decided tomorrow and go into a runoff. And I think that there's a lot of black folks that have been showing up to vote. I can't tell you how they're voting, but I can tell you based on the polling that over 70% of black voters in Orleans Parish do not want Helena Moreno to be the mayor of New Orleans. No matter how many people try to twist the narrative and say she's leading in the black community, if 24% of people are voting for one candidate, 21% are voting for another candidate, and 25% of black voters are undecided, then that means that 70% of black people in Orleans do not want Helena Moreno to become the mayor of Orleans Parish. And so the question is, how many of those black folks that don't want her to become the mayor are going to show up tomorrow to ensure that there's a runoff so that there's an opportunity to continue to have a black mayor in the city of New Orleans?
Chief?
Yeah. Gary, I always look at history, and, I always espouse philosophy. History is the greatest indicator of the future. Do you agree with me when I say when we vote for mayor this year, on Saturday, we're not voting for 4 years, we're voting for 8 years, because I can't remember in recent history where an incumbent mayor actually was defeated. Do you agree with that analysis?
I would agree. I think that it is difficult to beat an incumbent mayor, not impossible, but extremely difficult to beat an incumbent mayor. We're seeing the mayor of New York go down. Eric Adams will not be reelected, the mayor of New York. But unless you have some type of drastic movement that takes place over the next 4 years, whoever is elected the mayor will likely be the mayor for the next 8 years, and their vision will be the vision for the people of New Orleans for the next 8 years. It's not a secret that I'm supporting Oliver Thomas, and I'm supporting Oliver Thomas because I believe he has the most realistic vision and plan to be accomplished over the next 8 years, and I believe he's got the backbone to stand up against this federal and state overreach that we see happening every day.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Now, what about some of the other races? City council at large, we've got an incumbent in the one seat, J.P. Burrell, with a challenger, Pastor Gregory Manning, and the other seat is being vacated by Helena Moreno as she runs for mayor. So that is essentially an open seat with State Representative Matthew Willett, State Representative Delisha Boyd, and Matthew Hill. We just heard from Dr. Ed Charvanack from UNO with, in that one poll, snapshot in time, Matt Willett leading by double digits. But, of course, the margin of error is 4.86%. What are you seeing with that race?
Well, I think one of the most glaring things to me in the polling from the council at large race is in the race for mayor, white voters, 76% of white voters say that they're going to vote for Helena Moreno. In the race for city council at large between Matt Willard, Matt Hill, and Delisha Boyd, 60% of white voters don't know who to vote for when the candidates are black that they think they're going to have to choose from.
How about that?
60%.
Wow.
I think black folk need to really pay attention to that number, that when there's a white candidate in the race, 76% of white people know what they're going to do. When they think that there's a viable white candidate in the race, 76% of white voters know what they're going to do. In a race where there are two viable black candidates and not a viable white candidate for them to choose from, 60% of white voters don't know whether Matt Willard or Delisha Boyd are good enough to be the new city council members at large. And I think that we need to dissect that. We need to ponder on that. For black folks who feel conflicted about being supportive of a black candidate, like it's a racist thing for us to support a black candidate, well, when white voters are given the opportunity, they are voting for the white candidate. The data bears that to be true. And so we should never feel conflicted about wanting black leadership, because white voters are never conflicted about wanting white leadership. And I think that that is what is clearest to me in the data that's shown in that poll. As it relates to Councilmember J.P. Morrell, I could not give my support to Councilmember Morrell this term, because I believe that some of the things that he's done, even in this election, as he has made videos responding to Senator Duplessis, made videos responding to different things, I think he's been more adversarial with the candidates that are running for mayor than he has sometimes with the candidates he's running against. And the problem I have with that is you've had an adversarial relationship with the current mayor, and I think the city is kind of fed up with the adversarial relationship, and they want to see, how do we get something done to move the people of New Orleans forward? And if that is the tone and the tenor that you're going to take with anyone who disagrees with you or says a statement, I don't necessarily think that's leadership. I think that is pomp and circumstance to some degree, and I think JP should go to a runoff. I think JP probably will end up being reelected, but I think that the voters of New Orleans, black voters specifically, should say, look, we don't want you fighting with every black leader that ends up in the mayor's office. And if you think the only way to solve a problem for us is to fight with them, that is not leadership, especially when you're on the same team, in the same party, repping the same things. Now, JP knows I feel this way. I've told him these things personally. So this is not something that I'm blaring out and disrespecting him. I just I think JP's a good man, but I think that sometimes ego clearly gets the best of him in this moment.
Okay. We've got a call, Gary, from Reverend Wallace. Reverend Wallace, you're on with Gary Chambers.
Good morning, my brother, and you, and to this conference, and to the listening audience. That certainly, WBOK had this election, and you brought a lot of facts out. I agree 100% with what my brother just said in reference to the decisiveness of how Elena Moreno and JP orchestrated the tarnishedness of the mayor, the previous mayor. And if there's an indication how she would run and govern, that ought to be an indication to the African American people. And also with the brother comparing the 60% of not knowing what council to vote is will or avoid, it shows you their interest. Their interest is solid. They're unified in what they believe in. And if this lady get in this office, you can look for change coming drastically. And the airport going to be the first one. And then the convention center, there's been so much these stuff that with the Super Bowl, these people coming in making millions of dollars and walking out of the city with it. And our black leaders need to step up and you know, you're always calling on us to bail y'all out when it's coming election time. Well, look at the problem we have to live through. All the resources are leaving the city, and we got all the problems, the government coming out on National Guard. I mean, I'm just disappointed in some of our black leadership. It's sad to see what they're doing so that people then send their leaders in the community. It's crying shame. And go out and vote tomorrow. Vote for your grandchildren's interests. Vote for your interests, your property. Vote for the quality of life you want there and the people that you know you will entrust to do what they say and not outsource all of the business out of the city. And stand up and support 50% of what is good for the African-American community. New Orleans is deplorable. I'm sad to see somebody talk about they did so much for New Orleans. It's crying shame.
All right. Thank you for your call, Reverend Wallace. As always, bringing some of your insight to the Good Morning Show. Gary, what about the sheriff's race?
You know, I am sticking with Susan Hudson in the sheriff's race. I think that, you know, I don't know how it's going to go. I know the polling has been in different places on it, but I think that no one person is responsible for where the jail is, and I don't think that anybody that gets in today is going to have any advantage that she didn't have over the last 4 years to try to get it together. I think the city council and everybody involved with seeing that what has just happened has got to be serious about doing what it takes to give the sheriff all of the resources necessary to ensure that they can protect the citizens of New Orleans by protecting that jail.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Gary, for calling in and providing your insights. I certainly will be in touch in today and tomorrow as we watch the returns come in and as we watch the candidates do their final push. But it's going to be exciting on Saturday night and on Sunday morning to wake up to see where we have runoffs, and I do predict that we'll have at least 1, 2, or 3 runoffs, and who the winners are as of Saturday night. So thank you so much. We'll look for more of your insight, and hopefully we can have you back on Monday after the election.
Thank you, brothers. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, Gary.
All right. Have a blessed day. All right. That was Gary Chambers talking about the election, the early voting numbers looking really good. He's expecting a high voter turnout on tomorrow, and that is good news. Of course, it doesn't matter what Dr. Ed says or what Gary Chambers says if you don't bother your family and your friends with love and make sure that they get out and vote. Then we will get what you decided to provide us with by not voting. So vote it and vote your conscience, vote whatever way you choose, and let's make sure that our voices are being heard. You know, one of the big things that happened yesterday was the really big news about the federal consent decree and the New Orleans Police Department. After 12 years, looks like we're be coming out of this thing, and that's really big news. So right now we have Chief Ann Kirkpatrick joining us on the line. Good morning, Chief Ann.
What's up, Chief?
Hi. Yeah, good morning. How is everyone today?
Fabulous, fabulous. What big news yesterday?
Well, it was very, very big news for our city, for our police department. This is a win-win for all of the players involved. For our mayor, she's going to get to have, hopefully, seen over the finish line of the consent before she leaves office. So that's a huge win for her. It's a huge win, as I said, for our city and of course, for our police department.
Well, we know that you and previous chiefs have been working on this for quite some time. We know it was a major focus of yours when you became police chief. Did you see this day coming, or were you thinking that it might take a little longer?
Well, when the judge put the police department into what we call the sustainment period back in February, that was a statement by the court saying, and the federal monitors and Department of Justice, everybody's saying the police department has shown that they have come into compliance, or we've met most of the compliance issues. And so by putting us in back then I knew we were into what I use the football analogy, we were in the red zone. So we were ready to come over the finish line.
Well, that's great. Chief has a question.
Yeah, Chief, explain to the listening audience how significant it is from a financial standpoint, because we have to fund the monitoring of our police department. So this money can go back into the police department coffers.
Well, good morning, Chief. I'm actually not in studio in case people don't realize it, so I'm glad to hear you're on the line, Chief, as well. So what this means is that for 12 years, the city has carried a financial burden, if you will, of having to pay the cost of federal monitors, to pay for their travel, to pay for their food, to pay for their rates. Most of them are attorneys and so forth, for the actual presence being there and overseeing our work product. So it's a very expensive venture for the city, and that means the city will not have to pay those fees and fines anymore.
So, Chief, what are the next steps with this news from yesterday? What can we expect?
Yes.
Is there anything that we can expect today or next week? Anything immediate? What does your team have to do, and is there anything in particular that you want our listeners to be aware of?
Yes, great question. So the very next step for everyone is we do need to understand we are not over the finish line as of yet. The judge's order yesterday was to say that if the case is remanded back to her in her court, Judge Morgan, it's been in an appeals court. If the appeal court says, Judge Morgan, we want to send the case back to you, she has indicated that she will agree that we have come into full compliance and remove us from oversight. That stage is about a month away. And so we'll be able to all celebrate this graduation in about a month.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's good news. And so obviously it sounds like there's some T's that need to be crossed, I's that need to be dotted, some shoestrings that need to be tied, and some paperwork that needs to make it extra clear that the New Orleans Police Department is where the federal oversight folks have expected it to be to move forward.
Well, Chief, I just want to congratulate you because being a former chief, I know the complexity of what you did. And like I said, when you first was a candidate and I looked at your resume, I talked to people on a national level, I knew you were the person to get us out of this federal consent decree. So I want to thank you for what you've done.
Chief, thank you. But in closing, I do want to make the point that this has been a 12-year journey. There are a lot of officers and superintendents before me who have carried this ball all the way down to the red zone. I'm the one in the red zone, but it is not Ann Kirkpatrick. There are so many others who went before me, and at the time we crossed that finish line, I hope all the former superintendents, all the retired officers and professional staff, anyone who was a part of this journey properly get the recognition they deserve, not me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on an unscheduled visit. We know you have your regular visits to WBOK, but this was big enough news that we thought it'd be wonderful to hear directly from our New Orleans Police Department superintendent. So I know you have a busy day. You got getting out of one meeting, you're going to need to get into another so you can continue to serve and protect.
You know, and one
Thank
thing,
you, y'all.
You know, Chief, one thing too, like Chief Sean Ferguson did a lot of work, and his name is literally never mentioned. So I just want to just give that young man the recognition they deserves.
Absolutely.
Also, he did an
As I
outstanding
said, all the former superintendents.
But especially
will be
Sean,
celebrated.
because his name is literally almost never mentioned. That's why I want to just say that.
Thank you
on this radio station.
All right. Well, thank you, Chief Ann. We appreciate your calling in. I know you got a busy day. We hope you have a wonderful and safe day. Have a blessed day.
You bet. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Well, we just heard from Chief Ann Kirkpatrick about the consent decree. That was big news yesterday, but as she cautioned, we are not over the finish line yet. There's still a few things to do and have to be done. We have been in a 2-year sustainment period that the judge approved in January, but this gets us closer to the exit ramp. We are going to be going to a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to our friend Kevin Luster from Home Bank. Home Bank, trying to make sure that we are doing our part individually and collectively to be financially healthy. And so we look forward to that rich conversation. It's 8:29 a.m. If you got somewhere to be at 8:30, get on out. I hope you're walking in the door. And otherwise, if you got till 9, just be careful as you get out there and drive or take your public transportation, your RTA, on the way to your work or your appointment. You're listening to WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. First, a man is dead after being carjacked in the French Quarter last night. New Orleans police say the 61-year-old man was struggling with the suspect when his car started rolling and pinned him underneath. The suspect fled the scene, and when police arrived, the victim was taken to a local hospital where he later died. There is no word right now on whether police have identified that suspect. Then we are less than 24 hours out from Election Day here in Louisiana, and this morning election officials are inspecting voting machines before sending them out to polling locations across New Orleans. Tomorrow, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and in the city, voters will choose a new mayor, sheriff, and several city council members. Other big races in our area include the mayor of Slidell. Finally, the last escapee from the Orleans Parish jailbreak is heading back to Louisiana after his first court appearance since being captured. Derek Groves was taken into custody Wednesday after a standoff in Atlanta. He waived extradition rights at his first court appearance yesterday, and Governor Jeff Landry has said when Groves returns to Louisiana, he will go straight to Angola. Groves was on the run for almost 5 months since that jailbreak in May. And that is a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day and an even better weekend.
Cindy Wynn isn't just a leader. She's our neighbor, a mom, a hard worker, and someone who cares about every family in our community. On Election Day, vote number 55, Cindy Wynn, District E.
I'm Cindy Wynn, and I approve this message.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the famous peach cobbler pancakes. Join us for breakfast every morning from 8 to 1 and keep the flavor going all day with soulful dishes and cocktails that hit just right. Visit us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Inner City Brews and Bistro. Uniquely New Orleans. Deliciously unforgettable.
Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for sheriff.
3 years ago, Michelle Woodfolk was selected to be interim police chief. It was a historical selection. She did the job with poise and purpose, making all of us proud. She brought down crime, increased recruitment, which made our communities safe. From New Orleans East to St. Mary to Chief of Police, Michelle has represented our community well. Now, it's sad that Ed Shorty is spending tens of thousands of dollars lying on Michelle about stuff decades ago. We know when we have nothing good to say about yourself, you try to tear down other people. Mr. Shorty, that won't work here. We know Michelle Woodfork. We don't know you. What we have seen of you so far is despicable. I'm proud to be voting for the only law enforcement professional in this race, Michelle Woodfolk. Shame on you, Ed Shorty. You know better.
After 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Calvin Duncan established his innocence in a court of law. But Darren Lombard doesn't care about justice. He teamed up with Jeff Landry's attorney general to attack Calvin. They even sued him to stop him from talking about his innocence. According to Landry and Lombard, even if you're judged innocent, you're still guilty. Let's send Landry and Lombard a message. Vote number 7, Calvin Duncan.
Paid for by Calvin for clerk.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Our city thrives when every business has a fair chance. But when it comes to promoting equality, Helena Moreno has been anything but fair. It's Black-owned Spirits Group. Moreno even refused permits for 4 Black-owned restaurants to locate in New Orleans East. And when one of the city's most transformative projects went to a vote, Moreno refused to fund the city's 50% share of the Black-owned Bayou Phoenix development. There's a warning. Moreno plays politics. Our city pays the price. Paid for by People for a Better New Orleans PAC.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK 1230 AM. The talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. What a good conversation with Chief Ann about the consent decree progress to get it to this point. As she pointed out, there have been a number of chiefs and officers who have worked hard to get it to this point over the last 12 years, but is in the red zone, but not over the goal line quite yet. So good luck to Chief Ann and those who are working on this. We look forward to the millions of dollars being available to do other things, because it is costly,
extremely
costly to have this monitoring. But it's something that the city agreed to, and it's made our police department better.
Oh, much better.
But much better. But right now we're going to change gears from that to looking at our financial health with our good friend Kevin Luster from Home Bank. Always good to see you, brother. Thank you for coming back.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Will. Thank you, Brother Eddie. Good morning, WBOK listeners and the family. It's a blessing to always be here and share the platform with you guys. Today is no different than any other day. We're going to take a personal and deep dive into our finances. And yes, sir. And, and have some of those hard truths and those hard conversations that we tend to kind of stay away from. But we're all family, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Now, we got folks who listen to us every day, 5 days a week, every month and all. But for the 3 people who don't remember Kelvin Luster being on, tell them a little bit about yourself and Home Bank.
Yes, sir. So just on the housekeeping side first, Home Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender. And then, so a little about me. I'm the Director of Community Development. Home Bank is headquartered in Lafayette, Louisiana. 45 branches in 3 states. But our most significant footprint is in Louisiana. We just recently moved into our Houston market about almost 4 years now. So we're excited about that growth. Yes. But
competitive too.
It is. Yes, it is. We're excited about it. Growth is good. As long as you're doing it right, you know. We want to teach people how to scale when it's time, and just be able to kind of have those conversations. So Home Bank is having a great year, and we're proud of that. But we would not be here, Brother Will. We would not be here without the community. We couldn't do it. I always like to just kind of break down just the basics of banking, how it works in our community. We input deposits and we export loans. So if you don't think that financing some way or another touches you, that's what we're here to kind of pull the curtain back and kind of expose that. We are part of the fabric of the community, developing our community, reinvesting in our community. That's who we are at Home Bank. That's who all financial institutions, the roles that we all play. But some of us are able to do more just because of the sheer size of some larger institutions. But with that aside, just even adding to the conversation prior to me with both of you speaking to the chief of police, even in that, you're discussing power even in that moment. So right now we're talking amongst each other. So we're sharing power. We're sharing this platform. That's power. But what do you do with it?
Right.
Come on, Will, Eddie. What are you going to do with it when you know you have it? You can't just sit there and just hold it. So we want to share it. We want to educate. In my mom's words, let power move. Let's just let it move.
Right. I like that.
Yes,
I like
sir.
that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope you don't have a copyright. I'm stealing that.
Come on.
I'm stealing that. Oh, I like that.
Let's go. And a part of what's our most significant asset that we can own is what? Home ownership. We know so many of our friends, families, church members, people in our community are spending thousands and thousands of dollars every year on rent, but at the end of the year, they don't own anything. And for those of us who are trying and those that are hearing you, both of you, each and every day, and it may be something planted down in them. It's something that they think they can achieve, not sure how to achieve it. We want to help them do that. We have the tools that that are necessary to kind of get you to home ownership. We have a wonderful product called the Home Access Mortgage. So if you're hearing me right now, and if you're hearing Brother Will and Brother Eddie, just know, even when this call and this broadcast is over, do not let fear be the thing that stops you. Do not. From this call, be encouraged to call your banker. Call your bank, set up an appointment. I always say that on every one of our broadcasts because it's that important. If you're doing checkups in all areas of your life, hair, nails, doctors, please include your banking partners in that relationship checkup as well.
Well, y'all like to say something like invest in yourself for your future.
Come on.
That piece of investment is a bit more of yourself, because in a lot of cases it's for yourself and the next generation.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of what you're looking at with home ownership. I think sometimes we get afraid of looking at the glitzy magazines and seeing these homes for $5 million and $25 million and kind of imagining what that might be like. But that's not the life for most of us.
Right.
And a whole lot of us not even going to be in the $1.5 million home.
Right.
But it is possible to have home ownership. But you have to get your things lined up.
Yeah.
So what is important for young adults and first-time homeowners to consider as they say, I think I want to do this.
Right.
What steps do they need to take?
First thing, I just love what you just said, and what you just painted a visual is going through our communities and just seeing the difference in certain areas. And that's the thing that is driving us at Home Bank, me personally, is wanting to change how some areas and some communities are experiencing little or no growth. No economic growth. And that's the part that we want to change. You shouldn't have to just go and know off top of mind that on this side of town or in this community, you're going to see homes 1 and 2 and close to 2 million and so forth. Even though it may not be everybody's reality, but it is our truth, in that those things do exist. Every time I go into the community, my eyes are open even wider with our hard truths, with the things that we face every day. But the most important thing that we should all take away is toward that goal of home ownership is credit. Credit is going to be a part of every part of your life. Applying for a job, put the home ownership to the side just for a second. Applying for the job, they're looking at credit. When you even if you're not applying for a home, or if you're filling out an application for an apartment, they're looking at credit. So credit is going to be a part of it. So why not start now? So if you were waiting for the push, here it is. Brother Eddie and Will just told you. We're talking about it right now. If you're hearing it right now and credit is something that you need to work on, let us be there for you to do that. And then from there, all the doors will open. I know we've experienced a lot of no's. We are a community and a culture that have heard a lot of no's, but I'm here to tell you that truly no is on the road to your first yes. It's here. But you got to make the step. You have to make the step. We can't sit on the side and say, oh, it's for them. I don't know anyone in my family. Well, be the first. Who said that you had to start out renting before going into owning a home? Nowhere is it written. Will, you're going to get me going there. Nowhere is it written down on any paper, any textbook, any college course. Nobody told me I had to go from my parents' place to an apartment, then to my home. That's not, who said that was the norm? We can go from our parents' home to your first home. And if it's not your dream home, like you're saying, we get caught up in the glitz and the glamour of wanting it to look a certain way. But that's on the journey to the forever home. But your first one, who said it couldn't be your investment property later?
Right. I have some friends who they have a daughter who's been very successful in high school, very successful in college, very successful with grad school, very successful with the job. And as a family, they discussed her journey moving forward financially. And part of that was, you can go and be on your own, but we're okay with you being here. But here's the deal.
Come on.
If you're going to be living with us, you're going to be saving for your house.
That's right.
Because when you leave here, you're not going to an apartment. You're going into a house. Are we clear that this is the trade-off of you getting to stay here? You're a young adult now.
Yeah.
We'll give you way more respectable flexibility and all of that. But as your parents, your guardians, those looking out for you and your future, you must do this, and we need proof that you are doing what you need to do to prepare.
That's right.
And I thought that was like, how remarkable.
Yeah.
And what that might look like if more of our families did that.
Yeah. Listen, that's what you just described is modeling. You know, modeling what you see. So here you have a parents who understand that a home is an asset. Not many assets are going to appreciate at the rate of a home, and they understand that importance. So what are they doing? They're setting their child up for future. Even though the child on the other side of it is saying, they may not be taking or having more to spend, and carefree. But as they grow and mature and understand this is something that will benefit me, my family, as it grows and moving forward. The Bible says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. We all know what it feels like to be sick, Will. Eddie, we all know. So let's make that, we need to make the step in like that family and just being disciplined.
When you look at it from the perspective of utilizing resources to their optimal efficiency, when you take money you put into a home, it's like putting it into a bank because it's basically appreciating in value. But one of the things that a lot of young homeowners don't realize that there are certain tax incentives of buying a home that you can take off of your taxes when you're paying the interest on that note. You can take a large percentage of that interest that you're paying and use it towards your taxes. So basically, you're not paying that income that you'd be paying if you didn't have the home. So it's not just a tax. It's not just an appreciation type of thing. It's not just a quality of life type of thing. It's not just building generational wealth. There are also tax incentives that people don't realize that is very advantageous for you to buy a home. I bought my first home at 22. I left my mother's house and bought my first home. And I could not believe how fast I paid that home out by just putting an extra note on it every year. And, we have so many avenues with using your bank to build wealth and build generational wealth. And that's what we sometimes miss the boat. When we think of home, you think of the expensive part, but it's really, you can't afford not to own a home.
Come on. See, and what you what you just said is removing the risk. And too often we like to guess, and guessing is risky. We don't want you to guess. Right. Let's have a plan. Let's know what it is that you are seeking to do. Whether it's starting a business. Again, we talked just mentioning about scaling and growing and experiencing growth. Even being a homeowner right now, more than any time in our country's history, there are more new businesses that are being opened. And what is that saying? People are understanding and realizing the importance of owning something, being able to pull from an asset that they own and not necessarily always having to borrow. But that does not mean that your bank will not play a part in that. So often we approach it sometime from the very beginning thinking, if I can't do it out of my pocket, I'm just not going to worry about it. But having a relationship with the bank and using that resource and tool, helping you to either grow the business or establish the home, establish the credit, all of that plays into your banking relationship. So don't always go at it alone. Seek advice. We were all, how many times have we heard people say your friends should be as diverse as your family, so to speak. You should have an accountant, you should have a banker, you should have a lawyer. You should, if you got the same group of people that do the very thing you do, you in trouble.
Right.
Because why? You have limited your output on life. You have literally put a ceiling and a cap on how much and how far you will think. You need those other perspectives, whether you agree with them or not, to help broaden your thinking, and so that you can see, you'll get to witness and see how they live. What is it that they did different? So it all plays in. That's modeling for me, needing to mix up who it is that I have in my phone. I don't want to scroll through and everybody in my phone is working at the bank. Right. That's a pretty boring group of people.
Yeah, right.
Bankers are boring, by the way.
Right.
You know? We're looking at numbers all day. You know? But mix it up, Will.
Right. I have a friend who, I love this about her. She says, I've developed my personal board of directors.
So true.
I don't know it all. I'm pretty smart. I've done okay, but there's so much I don't know.
Right.
And so I got one of these, I got one of these, I got one of these.
Need a contractor.
And I am in regular contact with them
right.
so that I can get to other places that I might not even be thinking about.
That's it. That's right. Mix it up. Make sure you have some of everybody. You should know how your community works and functions.
I did research on crime, and it showed that differential associations, not differential reinforcers, was the number one determinant for deviant behavior. That's basically saying your peer group has a greater influence on you than actually the threat of going to jail. And when you take that and make it analogous to your regular life, when you have a robust number of friends and a robust group of friends that you can navigate throughout many different
and obstacles.
And obstacles.
That's
and
right.
when you look at it from the perspective that you can assimilate to so many different worlds, you know, because like I said, I have many hats. I'm a coach. I'm an adjunct professor at various universities. I was the chief of police. I'm a grandfather. And I learned from all those different groups, you know. And like I said, my grandkids teach me more about technology than any of my other groups. But what I'm saying is, you know, you have to be a well-rounded individual.
Right.
And your bank offers the opportunity to be well-rounded from a financial standpoint.
Yes.
Because like I said, you have a plethora of knowledge and you have a large group of individuals that can help you whatever you want to do. If you want to start a business, if you're looking for money for education, if you're looking for money for a home own, or if you're just looking for money, basically, you know, to say, you know what, I want to invest.
Yeah.
You know, so you get the opportunity when you have professionals to actually give information. When you're taking a risk, it's not capricious, arbitrary, or gregarious. It's well thought out. It's well planned.
That's right.
And you've basically done your due diligence. So, you know, you guys really do a great job in that. You know?
Well, thank you. You know, Home Bank, we are a family of almost 500 employees across 3 states. You just touched on and referenced your grandkids and talking about technology. When we look at community, it's really built around connection. You know, we're the people, we live in the same communities. We go to church with each other. But so kind of tying in connection, connecting us as one. But where we experience the disconnect is when we don't move at the same speed on both sides of the tracks, as they would say. You know, when you see, it's hard to see another area doing more or doing better, and so it feels. So we got to do a better job as a community, and making sure we're moving in the same direction together. I always think about, like you're touching on technology, but behind food and shelter in 2025, right now, it's really around technology, internet connection. It is so critical that we have that resource, because outside of food and shelter, everything's going to touch around a resource around computers and technology. So that's the focus of ours on our CRA department, and just making sure that that broadband and working with local leaders as well as nonprofits, and making sure that connection is made so that we're all moving together, because that's the actual right now mechanism and space that's keeping us together.
Well, when you talk about Maslow's hierarchy, the first thing you talk about is food and shelter, but then you talk about self-actualization and then peer groups. Well, technology is that conduit to achieve those things.
Correct.
Because if you're not adroit and proficient in the technological fields now, you know, you're going to be left behind.
Oh, yeah.
So what are some of the common mistakes that people make as they're looking at managing credit? And I don't know if you have a number, but you know, we hear about all kinds of numbers. Oh, that's bad. That's good. That's okay. But how many of us have a 800 or an 850?
Right. So been in banking 20 years. I've never seen an 850. I've seen
It exists.
It does exist.
But who gets there?
Who gets there?
Yeah.
I've seen the highest I've ever seen was the 832. But
that's pretty nice.
Yes. But aiming for that, just like anything else in life, is a goal, But where you are experiencing your best life is when you hit anywhere I would say above 680 and higher. Of course, the higher that is going, the better it is. The lower you're when borrowing and you're having to borrow. Borrowing money costs. It has a rate attached to it. So the higher your credit score, the lower that interest rate is, and therefore the lower you're having to pay back and coming less out of pocket. So where we're going wrong is, again, seeing that shiny picture of an 850 and thinking that's what I have to get before I can begin my life's journey. Well, time is passing by, Will. So, and Brother Eddie, we can't sit on that. So it is... We want to walk with you along the journey. The biggest misconception to your question is really taking too long to start, even though it's never too late to begin, but it's the initial start. So let's start the journey. And don't worry about the where you sit or what your financial picture looks like right now. That we're here to help make that picture better for you.
Right. So as you look at that credit, and some people, another piece of demographic is there are people with no credit.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who, it's not bad credit.
Right.
They don't have any credit.
Right.
They kind of been out of that marketplace, if you will, for some time. And so they're concerned about entering that, and what that might look like, because for a year, 2 years, 5, 10, they haven't had a credit score.
Yeah,
how are they supposed to look at
that? So that there's actually a name for that. It's called credit invisibility, credit invisible. Someone with no credit and trying to enter into the credit world. So at Home Bank we address that with what we call the Credit Builder. It's a product that allows someone with no credit to borrow and establish a banking relationship, therefore being able to build a credit without having that first initial opportunity to. And it's based on really income. So what that person can afford, how much they can afford to borrow, and then from there, they're given that opportunity to establish credit. They don't now because it will be their first time in this scenario. It'll be their first time borrowing. Those dollars that they qualify for, we will then put that into a savings, and then therefore kind of give them other products to build that relationship. So at the end of the day, what we want everybody to know is it's important to have a relationship with your bank, even if it's, I always say, even if it's not Home Bank. We want you to bank with us, but if not, still, for your peace of mind, just make sure you have a relationship with your banker and just touch base and make sure that they understand what journey and what your goals are.
All right. Well, enjoying this conversation so much that I've run out of time. So we got to make way for the front porch with Graylin and Kemba. How can people reach out to Home Bank so they can follow up on this conversation?
Thank you. So Home Bank, our website is home24 or home24bank.com. If anyone is looking for any opportunities around that housing space, you go to the website. You'll see links for mortgage lenders as well as branch locations. We have 6 inside of our New Orleans market. So just reach out, give us a call, and we'll be happy to assist you on your journey.
All right, wonderful. What a great show, Chief.
Man.
Don't even have time to
It's zoomed
talk about all the things that we had on this show today, from consent decree to inside look at the home where Derrick Rose was captured. I mean, how does that happen? But Gabby Killett from Fox 8 got inside the home, and wonderful to have her share. insights from Gary Chambers about the election day tomorrow. Chief Ann, of course, on a consent decree. And, of course, Calvin, so good to have you.
Thank you.
Be back again. We look forward to your return so we can keep learning and taking action. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.